Boy, you guys raised me up. The energy in here is beautiful this morning. I want to welcome Kathy Smith-Brown's family. Her grandchildren were singing that song just now in perfect tune, and it was really raising me up. I want to tell you, that was wonderful. We have a couple of good singers over there. Wow, wow, wow. I'm so grateful for all the things that raise us up. You know, Easter Sunday, each year, millions of Christians around the world celebrate the resurrection of Jesus the Christ. Yeshua was his given name. But what good is that if you're not resurrected? What good is that if some guy 2,000 years ago resurrected and there's no possibility of it happening for me? What good is it if I can't action what he demonstrated in my life? Today, I want to talk about the true significance of the resurrection of Jesus. The true significance of the resurrection is that each and every one of us can overcome the limitations of separate consciousness. That's what he did. He overcame the limitations of separate consciousness, even death of the body, which I'm told is not such a big thing by people who've passed over. My mom's always talking to me. I saw somebody had tears in their eyes about you raised me up because I was getting that it was somebody from the other side that raises you up. This is a phenomenon that is quite common. And the important part about it is that you're not stuck in one version of reality. It doesn't matter how much you believe in the experience of another. It has to be your experience. I truly believe this. And if you truly believe that it happened for one, then it happened for you. Absolutely. And your experience will look a little differently, but it will be the same overcoming of the limitations of separate consciousness. Let that sink in for a minute. What does that mean for you? To overcome the limitations of separate consciousness or separation. Wow, that would end all the war and all the hatred in the world, wouldn't it? Yeah. The overcoming of the limitations of separation, the overcoming of the idea that you are somehow separate from me and different from me, that I have some kind of justification for being angry or fearful of you or attacking you. When I have given that up, I'm resurrected. I am experiencing oneness. All of a sudden, it cuts through whatever conceptual identity you've built up. And I can feel our oneness, like in that meditation. We could feel our light joining together. It didn't matter what you believed. It didn't matter what your past contained. It didn't matter what troubles you perceive you're going through. It didn't matter your race or your background or your socioeconomic status or who you love or where you live. None of that mattered because you were experiencing the light of you joining with the light of another. And all of a sudden, you experience there's only one light. Resurrecting from separation, from the idea of death. Death is nothing more than separation. You feel that you're separate from your Creator, from the universe. Overcoming that happens to you in this truth. So we too can raise our individual consciousness to the Christ level. This is what unity teaches. Charles Fillmore calls it the Christ standard. When we actually accept our own divinity, as Jesus did, which is how he resurrected, when you accept your own divinity, the experience of resurrection is yours. You don't need a crucifixion to be resurrected. We're being crucified by our own minds all the time. We're being crucified by the situations and conditions in which we interpret our reality all the time. You don't need a physical crucifixion. So today, instead of worshiping Jesus, let us follow his example. How to be resurrected, right here, right now. Should we check that out? Should we go? Let's dive into that. Right? Let's do it. Why not? We're here. We got together for a reason. We're here. We might as well celebrate something. Let's celebrate overcoming of the limitations of separate consciousness. Okay, first, what's resurrection? I have to go to A Course in Miracles. Have to. What is resurrection? First of all, it's the overcoming of death. Very simply. A Course in Miracles says there is no death. The Son of God, the child of God is free. Death is impossible. So, oh my goodness, you can't count on death to escape from your conditions anymore. That was the one thing you were counting on, wasn't it? Well, at least in the end, I get to die. No, you don't. Sorry. Your eternal consciousness, whatever you're experiencing now, you're going to take that into the next phase of life. Whether it be the invisible phase of life or you're reincarnated in another form, you're going to take that level of consciousness with you. Until what? Your level of consciousness has evolved past the limitations of separation. Oh my goodness. I can do that right now. Oh my goodness. When I learned that, I was okay, that's all I'm going to do. That's it. I'm going to do that every single day. And it didn't matter at that point what else I apparently had to do in the body form. Like have a job and a bank account and a separate identity. None of that matters. I can use all that in service to overcoming the limitations of separate consciousness, otherwise known as giving my ego over to the Holy Spirit, surrendering my ego to the Christ, letting the Christ represent me in the world. Holy mackerel, what a wonderful way to live. Some of you are discovering that. You're discovering that you can live in your Christ consciousness at all times. Course in Miracles. Death is a thought that takes many forms, often unrecognized. It may appear as sadness, fear, anxiety, doubt, anger, faithlessness, lack of trust, concern for bodies, envy, and on and on and on. All those things are reflections of the mind that is worshiping death. If you want a miracle, it's time to live in the resurrection. Give up those things. You know, we just got out of what we traditionally call Lent, but in Unity we give up all those things I mentioned. Anger, fear, doubt, anxiety, sadness. Those are the things we give up. Judgment. So every day for 40 days I was picking a new one of those. And some of you got the book, the 40-day book. And so every day we were relinquishing a pattern of thinking that kept me in separation. Every day I was relinquishing one more way that I gave death reality. One more way that I held off my own resurrection. And as we give up those habits of mind, we truly begin to think exactly the way Jesus was thinking. So, death is actually any thought that's not supremely happy and joyous. It's every thought that seeks to prove the reality of the separate world. The idea is this. What do you want? It's your choice. It's your world. You get to decide. Do you want resurrection or crucifixion? What do you want? How do I know if I'm living in the resurrection or the crucifixion? It's pretty simple. I have a very simple way of letting myself know. Separation equals death. If I'm holding on to thoughts of death, of sadness, of sickness, all these things, if I'm focused on that, I'm in separation. It's pretty clear that I'm using a thought system of separation. But when I'm using a thought system of oneness, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling healthy. I'm feeling one. I'm feeling cared for. I'm feeling connected. When I'm in a thought system of oneness, when I'm seeing your interests exactly the same as mine, I'm resurrected. According to Charles Fillmore, in The Revealing Word, the resurrection is nothing more than returning to our original state of being. I'm going to read a little bit to you. Charles Fillmore, restoring of the mind and the body to their original undying state. Resurrection is the restoring of the mind and the body to the original undying state. It is accomplished by the realization that God is spirit, and in God we live. God created, I'll say humankind instead of man, with a power like that which God possesses, which spirit possesses. When humankind realizes this, the mind and the body automatically become immortal, eternal. You remember who you are. Well, the body's not eternal. I get this all the time, even from some of the people closest to me. The body has to die. Why? John's shaking his head. No, it doesn't. Why? Because everything is energy. The body's nothing more than a projection of a thought that you're holding in your mind. I love quantum science. I've been looking at, what's in the, when you boil down the atoms and the molecules and you get to the smallest little things, what's in there? Nothing. The electrons are making it all happen. The energy of the movement of the electrons is what makes the appearance of the solid form look the way it does, no matter what it is. So what's projecting that form? What is moving the energy to project the body? Your consciousness. Oh, I got some nice, peaceful nods over here. And this is from somebody who recently resurrected. I went to visit her in the hospital. And she wasn't really there. She wasn't there in that body. But something told her that she's got to come back in this body, just like Jesus did. He took up the same body. I have another resurrection over here. Talk about eternal life walking around. I've never seen anybody so vibrant in my whole life. Now, if you talk about how old you are, how sick you are, how blah, blah, blah you are, that's what you're going to show up as. But if you recognize that you are resurrected, and all of you are, you woke up this morning, you're walking around, you woke up and recreated your body today, right? And it's carrying around a thought of God. This is the most important part of the whole talk. You're carrying around the Christ Spirit. You're carrying the light. You're carrying that light, Tom. You're carrying that light, Judy. You're carrying that light, Lily. You're carrying that light, Kathy. You're carrying that light, Gail. You're carrying that light, DJ. Thank you. Barbara, Sharon, Carol, you are the light. Kathy, you're carrying that light. You guys are the light. That's what raises me up, is that I am seeing the light, and now I can identify with it. Instead of identifying and judging, I've been walking around. I have to tell you, I truly underwent a resurrection last night. Because I've been walking around in judgment, been walking around in pain, I've been walking around. You look at what's going on in the world, you start getting involved in that story, and you start thinking, how can I affect this story? Right? How can I do something to affect this story? How can I change this story? You can't! You can tell a different story. You have to. And you have to invite everyone into that story. So for some reason in my energy field, I was still in a stuck place in my mind saying, how can I affect this story? It just doesn't seem like I'm being effective. Where are the resurrected ones? Right here. John said everywhere. Isn't that great? If I care to look, and if I'm reflecting the truth of myself, if I'm being the light in the world, then I'm going to see the light. But I can tell you, I'm supposed to be the light all the time, right? And I wasn't. And there are times where you're not going to feel so light. You're not going to feel so loving. You're not going to feel so one with everyone. You are going to feel separate. You are going to have judgments. But in that moment, turn to spirit within. Turn to your spiritual tools. This is what Lily was saying. Well, what do you do when you feel that way? I said, well, I turn to unity teachings. I turn to the Course in Miracles. I just put down the message. Put down the sermon for a minute. Put down the role that I have to go and perform an Easter service tomorrow. Put down all the thoughts. And I picked up my Myrtle Fillmore book, which happened to say how to let God help you. And Lily was saying, what do you do to get help? Do you ask for help? Do you actually ask for help? So I pick up the book. Yeah, I'm asking for help. And I'm reading that book, and it is absolutely changing my mind. And right in the middle of reading the book, I get a visitation from Myrtle Fillmore. Now she calls me James.
Well, that's a nice name.
Instead of Tony. Tony is my given name by my spiritual friends that like to play jokes on me. And it stuck. They're still laughing about it. It stuck. But on my certificate of ordination, thank you. I forgot what that was. On my certificate it says James Tony Cryer. And so the voice very clearly said to me, I'm talking to you, James Tony Cryer. And wonderful messages which never die because they are true, they are eternal. And so everything that I read in that book I resonated with. Every single sentence and paragraph I resonated with. And all of a sudden, resonation is a vibration of frequency, right, in your mind, which then is translated to the body. And all of a sudden, I'm feeling light again. All of a sudden, I'm vibrating again in the frequency of truth. But it does take a little focus. It does take a little attention of your mind to focus on the truth. But as soon as you do, I'm telling you, the experience of resurrection is available. I resurrected faster than Jesus ever thought. Took him 3 days. I'm telling you, 30 minutes. I offer express resurrections, guys. Come to Unity, we have the express resurrection here. 2 for 1. Bring your partner. Accept one resurrection and get one free. I love it. So it's available right here and right now. And the thing is, when I start truly resonating with truth, not just getting it intellectually, but resonating totally in my energy field with the truth, something marvelous happens. I turn to light. You remember way before the resurrection, he took a couple of his friends up on the hill and he transfigured before them. He turned to light. He showed them, this is what I really am. This is what you really are. We are light. We are all light. And so Jesus was resurrected before the crucifixion because he was resurrected in his mind. It only took him 30 seconds, too, to resurrect. It just took him 3 days to get that big rock out of the way. That was the real miracle. Man, he didn't have no bulldozers or anything to help him. I always call John when I need to move a big rock. John, help me! I forgot about that part. I'm resurrected, but I still have things to do here. That's the surprise we don't like. Like you're feeling all this amazing energy. You're feeling like you are immortal, eternal, right? This is what Charles Fillmore said when he was 93, right? And then he made his transition. Because we don't know what's for our highest good. We might think that resurrection makes us invincible, but only in spirit. You still have to go through whatever you have to go through in that body form, but remembering that you are the Christ while you're going through it. Your resurrection is going to look totally different than the person next to you. And I'm so grateful for the resurrected people that are here today. The ones that, you pray for and you go and visit and everything, and you don't know what's going to happen. You have faith that it's all for their highest good. And then the next moment, they're sitting right next to you. Boy, I just love that. I really do. I'm so happy you made it. No, I really am. For me, this is purely selfish now. I'm happy you're still here in that body form. It just is like that. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. But you have truly gone through a process of freeing your mind from the limitations of the body form. That's why you came back, to demonstrate your eternal nature now to those around you. You say, who, me? Yeah, you. Yeah, you. You're the Christ. You're the representation of God in that form. You are, just the way you are. You're absolutely perfect. We used to say that every Sunday. We love you. We bless you. We behold the light in you. And we see you perfect. We accept you just the way you are. Just the way you are is absolutely perfect. The Christ light is shining through you now. Happy resurrection. Happy resurrection. Every thought. See, this is your decision to be resurrected. Instead of those other things I mentioned, which are the worshiping of death, every thought that is of everlasting peace is resurrection. See, the universe is in constant movement, constantly, all the time. And so is the human consciousness. It's constantly expanding all the time. And I just want to be in that flow. I want to keep up that flow. So every thought of everlasting peace keeps me in that flow of expansion of my consciousness. Every feeling of pure joy, every moment of experience of our oneness of any kind keeps me in that moment of resurrection. Every thought and healing gesture, every time you see your interests interconnected and interdependent with mine and with everyone's, you're resurrected. Every time you give freely of yourself with no intention except to raise up the other person. You're the one who gets raised up. That's how we rise, by lifting up others. In that moment, you are awake. You are whole. You are healed. You are forgiven. You are free. In that moment, every kind wish that you have, in that moment, you are resurrected. Teach only love, my friends, because that's what you are. And remember to always be blessed, be resurrected. Happy Easter. I love you.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass. and visit us online at unityonCapeCod.org. This video was made possible in part through a grant from Unity Worldwide Ministries and the Templeton Foundation.